Well, happy Monday, everybody. What a weekend. What a bunch of fun there was this weekend. Um, I hope you had a good weekend and enjoyed it, no matter where you were or where you are right now. I hope you're looking forward to a good day or that you've had one and you're relaxing from it now. So this morning, oh yes, a couple bits of housekeeping. I didn't get a chance to upload Friday's stream to the YouTube channel yet, but I will. I'll try to do that today. Frankly, I forgot to copy it off this computer, and I've done that now, so hopefully I'll be able to do that later today, and I'll post this stream up there as well. Another thing I'm hoping is that the audio is coming through well enough this morning. I was trying something different, and hopefully this is carrying across on the live broadcast. If it isn't, let me know if you can't hear me. In fact, I'm going to just put this in the comments in case there's someone out there listening. So let me know if you can't hear me. Thanks. All right. And let's see if that attracts some people wanting to sell me followers, which is an odd thing, but I understand why. Right, so in front of you, we have our Roman landscape, and that's just because that's the last thing I had opened the last time I looked at this project. But what we're really going to do is we're going to, pun sort of intended, we're going to dig into the soil blocks of this landscape. So we've been putting in last week a lot of the models that I had created really over the past 6 or 7 months. I kind of went on a modeling spree, and the point of that was to try to get as much actual content into this game in order to test a lot of the underlying systems and tools of this game. And the big one that I've been having a lot of trouble with, because it's been hard to test, is time travel. And so what I want to do is just at a really basic level start hopping through time. So by the end of our stream on Friday, I had set up a database full of dummy artifact entries, and in this game artifacts are the mechanism by which you travel to different periods. So I have placed those into the system. We saw that we had to do a little bit of database editing as well because the player's inventory is controlled by a database, a little SQLite one here, and that is now working. We were able to access that in game, so that's a good thing. But if we were to time travel now, I think everything would fall apart and break because none of the content we've just entered into the game actually is set up to work with time travel. So there's a whole thicket of scripts, to try to wire up to everything. So we're going to try to do that now and try to kind of reconstruct that. So one of the problems of spending like 6 or 7 months out creating content or even working on another project is that on a project this complex, you tend to forget what you did where. I should probably create a manual since I seem incapable of creating non-spaghetti script. I might as well have a manual on how to use that. But we're not quite there yet. So I've fished through the older part of this scene. So the older part of the scene has a completely different landscape base. And this little block here is the soil block of an earlier part of the game, an earlier iteration. And you can see that it's just a null. There's nothing on it except a transform. So it's just got position, scale, and rotation, but really there's no mesh, there's nothing, but it's the parent of quite a bit. And the base soil is what we would consider kind of our dirt, kind of the basic ground soil. And on that one are a number of scripts, but one of the main ones is this one right down here, which I'm going to fold up and then unfold so you can see where I'm talking about in the lower right corner. This one is called the soil info script. So almost every object in the game has one form of an info script, one or another form of an info script. And again, this is mainly just data, just a block of data. And I could probably and should probably use Unity's scriptable object system for this rather than a mono behavior script. I'm just not familiar with that system. And frankly, I haven't kind of set aside the time to learn it. That may come over the next year as I rebuild this. I'm going to rebuild this once we get the demo kind of functioning. The next step really will be to rebuild the whole system, to clear out all the unnecessary kind of sketches that I was doing as I was working out how this game works, and to just focus on the sort of core of the game. So we will rebuild it. We won't rebuild the models mostly, but I'll rebuild the structure of the game. So that's what we're looking at now. It's just that structure. And one part are these info scripts. And the info scripts are really important. They're very key. They tell us a couple of things. One, the most important, is they tell us the start date and the end date of this block. So of this model, of this entity, when that model block begins and when it ends. And then there's the current date, which is set as you move through time. There's a few other options, and one of these is called Soil in Other Times. And we're going to explore that one because I think instead of this being a soil info script, really this should probably be more of a tile. So there's landscape tiles, for example. In this current demo scene, we have 20 landscape tiles, and each tile could have multiple sort of models per period as we're going through this. So, but this whole tile may also have a shelf life, may also have a life that, lasts from one time to another. So we're going to try to set up one of our tiles. So let's go find something that we've brought in. I mean, we could go to the Roman fill if we want, which is this kind of bit that's outlined here. We've got this Neo Iron Roman base set of tiles, which has really kind of been our, this group here has really been our kind of key foundation that we've been building everything on. But I want to try to go back and find the Mesolithic landscape because that's the original. And really what I ought to do is create a series of 20 nulls that just represent each of the 20 tiles here, and then start loading all of these into that. I'm not exactly certain how that's going to work because each period of landscape is its own prefab. I'd like to kind of keep the connection to the prefabs, but we'll see. We'll see how we do here. Hey, Jeff. Thank you very much for the response there. Sorry, I was yammering on. I didn't see your response. Thanks. So you can hear me okay. That's good. I was worried about some feedback with the stream being on in the background as well as I'm monitoring it here, and I was afraid I was getting audio feedback. Anyway, I think I'm gonna set up a series of 20 landscape nulls here, and we'll work from there. So let's drop down into a top-down view and start setting this up. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. All right. So I'm just going to start building some nulls. It does not belong up in the start menu. Not in that scene. We're going to put it back in the parish church scene. And I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this right underneath the scene controller here. We're going to call this all tiles nulls. And we're just going to start building up the structure of this game here and see if we can make this a little bit more manageable for us. And for the archaeologists out there, doesn't this nice pixely view of the ground kind of give you a warm fuzzy feeling like you're looking at a color mag survey or something like that? I like it. You'd look at that and you'd say, maybe there's some hearths here. Well, if they were really bright spots. I don't know. Anyway, sorry to be a nerd. I miss geophysics, although I never missed doing it, but I miss that it exists. Right, let's create an empty child here. Okay, this one's going to go to 0, 0. The parent's going to go to the center of the universe, 0, 0, 0. And then this one is going to be called tile 1. And I'm going to move that to roughly where our first tile belongs. So let's see here. Yeah, curvilinear features, that's right. Exactly. Archaeologist on the line there. Exactly. Curvilinear features right there. Okay. I need to somehow figure out what my grid is. Hang on, everybody. I think I'm going to have to turn a few things off here. In fact, I'm probably going to turn everything off here. So away goes the Roman period. There's your, see, look at that instant archaeology there. A certain former colleague of mine would be excited by this little bit that's dribbling down the hill here to the right. This is a paleo channel. It's a big deal for a certain colleague of mine, former colleague of mine. Okay, here it is, the Neo-Roman, the Neo-Iron Roman base. That's the base block of soil we're going to deal with. Okay, let's just turn these guys on one at a time. There we go. Okay. Now, I've lost track of where I was. There we are. Tile number 1. It's going to go live roughly over here in the center. Let's even out those numbers. 45 and 35. No, that's too bad. 40. That does better. There we go. Okay, there's the first one. Tile number 1. Why I'm doing this is just to, I just need some objects to play with right now as we're dealing with the architecture of the space. So I just need some objects. That's all I need. But I'm going along here and turning on and off individual landscape meshes just so that I can see something on the ground, so to speak, in order to tie this to it. So this is a little bit tedious. Not the best TV, maybe. So this weekend I finished painting my, I'm just going to talk about boring stuff while I set this up. Let's see if I can actually walk and chew gum at the same time here. But this morning I finished painting my house, which was a long project. And we finished it just in time for winter proper to set in. So that's a nice thing. Nice thing for us. And it looks good. The house hasn't been painted in decades. There's a lot of work. But while I was out painting the house, had my headphones in, listening to something, and then all of a sudden I heard in the distance car horns honking, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. This was on Saturday morning for our time. And I thought, I'm just going to check the news. So checked the news, and I had found out that they had finally called the U.S. presidential election, and there was much rejoicing. It was a pretty nice weekend, actually. There was a real sense of hope, which was nice. A real sense of hope from some, and a real sense of despair from others. Kind of a flip of where folks were 4 years ago, or 4,000 years ago, or however long ago it's been. was nice to hear. Even in this little town here, there was a massive outbreak of noise. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Jeff, for that. Yeah, we were all glued to the telly or to the news. I was checking all the time. Made it hard to get any work. Oh crud! Made it hard to get any work done at work, for sure. At my work, I've got to be very diplomatic. We are a local government entity, and so we really do need to maintain neutrality and as much neutrality and respect as possible for everybody who comes in. But I think within like moments of that happening, we already had some arguments breaking out amongst folks at work. So there is a lot to do over the next few years. Right. So we're still plowing through these tiles here. So sometimes game dev and modeling is not the most interesting looking or glamorous thing here, but it's something. Last night, a colleague sent me a little heads up about a project which is going on in Oxford, and it's called, oh nuts, what's it called now? I can't remember. The something. Oh gosh. I'll have to dig that up. Anyway, it's a project where they're trying to build a network of digital heritage, but especially 3D modeling experts. The thrill of a 5-day test match. You know, you're absolutely right. And I kind of was thinking about the kind of cricket parallels where you can go for days and days and days and still maybe not quite know a result sometimes. But then I had seen something going around Twitter saying, how dare you compare it to cricket. So it shows that people who compare it to cricket don't know cricket. And I don't know cricket. It seemed a lot like that to me, though. I never picked up on cricket, I'm embarrassed to say. Alright, everybody, you'll be happy to know that we are halfway through this tedious process of making a bunch of nulls. Nothing can happen, and when it does happen, everything does. Brilliant, yes. Exactly. That's definitely American politics, too, sometimes. I guess that's politics everywhere. So one of the interesting things is how this is going to have ripple effects throughout foreign and domestic policy in other countries in the world, as well, as this is a bit of a shift, and is going to be a bit of a shift for a lot of world leaders. A lot of folks, I think, have been watching that very carefully. So again, there I am trying to maintain some neutrality, but I think there were a lot of governments and individual members of governments around the world who definitely had their opinions about a preferred outcome. I spoke to my parents last night. It was the first time I've spoken to them in a week, and they are on a different end of the political spectrum from myself, and they were not happy. But they were being, well, my mom was being relatively mature. My father's having a harder time with that. So, anyway, Thanksgiving's going to be a blast, let me tell you. keep rebuilding some things here. Like Lady Havisham, totally. Yes, indeed, like Lady Havisham. Well, I just said yes, indeed, so probably that endorses your view here on this stream. I think that's probably apt. I just hope it doesn't. I just hope it doesn't end the same way. Yeah. Okay, guys, we are 3/4 of the way through this tedious process here, and then you'll be happy and unsurprised to know that we have more tediousness after this. Oh no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't want it to end that way. There we go. See, now we've discussed literature, so now I feel like I've stayed true to my English literature first degree as well. There's nothing but quality entertainment on this stream. Once an English major, always an English major. Here's an embarrassing confession. When I was doing my undergraduate, in English Lit, I really did not like Dickens. I felt he was a bit of a hack. Shocking. My wife helped me see the error of my thinking in that regard, and now I'm quite the fan, but I was not the fan while I was actually doing my degree. I think I was just trying to justify not spending a billion years reading a massive Dickens tome. All right, we're getting there. 2 more tiles left. I'm still giving serious thought to doing a reading of the London Charter, just for kicks, just in case people needed to go to sleep and needed something to cure their insomnia. Enjoy your coffee, Jeff. And I don't mind talking to myself. Right, here comes the last null to put in here. Tile number 20. All right, all of those tiles are now in place. Good. Actually, let's leave that unfolded. Okay, the next thing we can do is we're going to add the soil info script to these individual tiles. All right, so every tile now has a soil info script, and that's excellent, and they're all going to have the same date range. And that date range is from, let's give us a good buffer, -12,000. And the end date range is going to be 2,500. Okay. Soil in other times. How many times do we have here? We might have up as many as 5, 6 periods. Let's do 6. Okay. There we go. That's it. Okay. That might be exactly what we're looking for here. Okay, so there's all of these little sub-objects in the soil info script. So soil in other times. So now, how to explain this? I've got all these individual nulls. They've got nothing in them. They've got no geometry or anything. They're not parents to anything. They just live there as a null. These are going to hopefully control the visibility of the meshes that they sort of roughly represent. And so this big block has its own time period, and if the current player is currently outside the time span covered by this block will turn itself off. So I've given it the full time range of the game, and so I've done that. So these should basically never turn themselves off throughout the whole game. And now there's soil and other time. So these are going to be the blocks from other time periods. So we can start loading in the Mesolithic blocks of soil, and each one of these blocks will have its own start and end date. And I should be able to just drop in the game objects that are representing those as well. And I'm going to click the do not spawn check mark, which means that it's not going to try to find this object. This object already exists in the scene. It's just going to turn this object on and off, I think, is what's going to happen. Anyway, that's the idea. That's what we would like to have happen. So let's go through and not find the Iron Age stuff. Let's go through and find the earliest stuff, the Meso stuff. So let's see where I don't even remember where I put that. So I'm going to try to dig through that. So I think it's in this one called the Mesotarn Sem Uniques. Yep, and if we look here, there's our burial platforms, and that's where our little lake is. There's a couple of boulders, and if you were to look really closely, you'd see a teeny tiny skeleton on top of that platform. So what I'm not interested in those right now, actually. What I'm more interested in is this set of base soil right here. So we can turn off the symmetry. Oh, and the bowl of the tarn is its own thing, isn't it? That's right. And we can turn off the topsoil. And if we turn off the bowl, that's its own bit of topsoil. Okay. Now I'm going to go through and rename, well, I don't know if I can actually because they're prefabs, but that's okay. So let's jump back into the scene here and see. So our numbering's off as well. Nice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6 does, or 7 does start there. So we're going to, 21 is 1. Oops, 21 is not 1. Ooh, my numbering's all over the shop. 17 is 1. Huh. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the first game object is number 17 from the Meso landscape base soil. So stick it in there. All right, good. And its start date, and this one is, oops, 12,000. And its end date is, it's going to go up to our Neolithic period. Let's do negative 8,000. Is that too early of an end for the Meso? Maybe. I don't know. All right. So that's just tile number 1. I'm going to feed this, I'm going to do this for all of the rest of the Meso ones, and we'll put those away, and then we'll grab the Neolithic ones, we'll do those, grab the Roman ones, Iron Age / Roman, we'll keep going. We'll do it that way. Yeah. Okay, so number 2, tile number 2 is going to be Meso tile number 18. Does that make sense? Sure. Stop. Number 2. Its game object is number 18. Oh yeah, and I forgot the all-important do not spawn. That would cause an error and the whole game would crash. I'm going to go through the rest of these tiles and set these dates all at once. And the do not spawn thing. So that way I just need to just load in the individual goes game objects. So that's fine. Okay, let's keep architecting this away. So tile number 3 equals tile number 19? Yes. All right. Tile number 4 is tile number 20. And tile number 5 is tile number 21. All right. 16, 15, 14, 13. Tile number 12 is going to be tile number 6. And tile number 13. Tile number 14. Right? Yep. Nine is 15. And 10 is 16. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay. 7 is 11. Nice. Oops. Right, I'm getting myself all confused here. Okay, 8. 12 is going to be 8. Thirteen is going to be 9. 14 is going to be 10. 15 is going to be 11. Yep, good. All right. 2 is going to be 16. Yep. Almost there, guys. 3. 4. 5. And 6. There we go. All matched up. Good. Okay, so our first layer of soils are all matched up here. Very good. Just giving it a moment to save. Okay, so the Mesolithic landscape is all loaded up. Now, I could also load up the topsoils. I think I'm just going to load up the base soils for now. I'm going to be messing with these topsoils in some periods. These all match up though. Well, maybe I'll just carry on. Okay, let's set this up. So these all get set up the same way. Actually, I should probably unfold all of these as well. That way I'll just have a quick guide to the numbers that we're dealing with. So like tile number 20 is topsoil tile number 6. Then I don't have to go back and forth too much. And 19 is 5. 18 is 4. So you're saying that there is this project in Oxford trying to build a network of digital heritage professionals, which seems pretty cool. I didn't know about them, but they said reach out and get in touch if you're interested in learning more about the project. So I did that last night. We'll see if I hear a reply. Yeah, I was quite tired, and so I might have sent something that wasn't the most kind of slickly professional. I think I was just very enthusiastic rather than super professional. Probably my MO anyway. There we go, we're getting there. I knew this was going to be a dull one. I was thinking all weekend. Wonder what I'm going to show on the stream on Monday morning. Turns out I'm just going to be showing the nuts and bolts of dragging things around and setting them up and wiring up all the different elements in the code here. So this is the big problem with doing a big push on content. Once you get the content created, you got to get it into the game, and then you've got to set up all of the different elements. And it's kind of a lot of tedious dragging and dropping. This is why on big AAA projects, and well, anything that's not a solo dev project, they have lots of people working, but this is why there is so much work for so many people in these game projects, and why even then it takes years to produce. Because there's just a lot of work. A lot of meticulous details to make sure everything's in the right place at the right time. If the coders are on the team are any good, they will do everything they can to make the system robust, so that if one of these kind of steps get missed, it doesn't completely, bring the whole show to a stop. But even that can be, there can be problems that can be unavoidable. So it can be kind of difficult, and that's why it takes a long time. So, and as a solo dev, doing everything, even something this relatively small has taken a really long time, especially only when you get about an hour in the mornings to do it. And that's really up. I used to be getting like 15 to 20 minutes every other day to work on it, but I've managed to kind of at least get to this point, which is good. Maybe in another 50 years I'll get to full time and we'll have a demo. Okay, what's our next bit of landscape? It's the Neolithic landscape. Neo-dirt tiles. There we go. So as we can see in the Neolithic landscape, the big change is that we have this set of tiles right here. We have this big ring, and this starts to get ironed out a little bit. So we're going to line these up as well, but I think, yeah, so it starts in number 1 up here in the corner, and number 20 is going to be down in this corner. So that's going to be a little bit easier to match all of these up. So we're just going to go through and do the same thing again. So let's fold up those elements, unfold this element, and they're going to start from negative 7,999. Yeah, that's right. And the end date on these, hey, Ghost of the American Past the White House. Something Oxford, yeah. I was just saying that there's this network of digital heritage professionals, but they seem to be focusing on maybe visual stuff. And they were trying to make a network of people who work in this field. And I cannot remember what it's called, but I can look it up if you're interested. Let's go do that really quickly. Let's not have the whole world read my email, though, because that's not fun. Yeah, thanks. Okay, let me just dig this up for you really quickly. Okay, what was it called? Ah, here we go. Here it is. It's not D, it's an UN or an N. Okay. Let me grab this. It's loading up. It's being delivered by porters from Oxford to my browser. Right. Here we go. This is what it's called. So here's a little break. Encoding heritage. Ta-da! So that's what we've got going on here. Everybody gets to read all my notifications here. Not that interesting up in the upper corner there. Ooh, it looks like we've... Ooh, there we go, we're back. Okay, so this is what this network is called. Let me put this away. Yeah, here we go. Encoding heritage is this project, and look, they can do really cool things with iPhone displays. No, but that's a really clever little that's really clever there. Okay, yeah, so take a look at this. Take a look. It doesn't look like it's been hugely active. It does look like they launched. Let's look here. Let's see. It looks like they launched in May. It looks like they have a strongly classical bent, and it looks like right now there's a relatively small range of folks who are kind of chief participants, and this looks to be mostly Oxford based, which is great. But maybe they're looking to branch out beyond just Oxford. So yeah, anyway, there you go. If you're interested at all, it's the Encoding Heritage Network, part of the Torch Digital Humanities thing. So anyway, there we go. I'll put that away for now. And I'm going to turn off my email because no one needs to read my email. All right, enough collaboration. I'm just trying to figure out a good end date for the Neolithic in the beginning of the Iron Age. Yeah, I know. Lots of people have been trying to do this. But for the game, let's see. What should we label it as? A good end date for our Neolithic period. What do we want to say? Kind of Bronze Age starts sort of negative 3,000, maybe? Let's run this to negative 2,000. This will cause shock and horror amongst prehistorians. So if you are a prehistorian, please come and correct my chronology. I would welcome that. All right, getting back to it. Let's load these tiles in. Okay, so that's going to be tile 1. One thing I'm thinking of doing once I get out of this demo stage is making my individual landscape tiles a little bit bigger, so I don't have quite so many to worry about. And I could probably automate this process now that I have a better idea even what the process is. I used to have an automated process for wiring up a bunch of scripts in this project, and then that whole block of code, that whole feature that I had coded in, ended up being kind of irrelevant. And I threw it away. Well, I never throw anything away, so it's sitting in here cluttering up the space. History started 27 BC in Rome. That's probably true. Yeah. Good. So all of this is an utter fiction. That seems to track with what I know of prehistory. If only we had a prehistorian on the stream. It'd be shots fired. It'd be fun. We could have a little debate. All right, we're getting there on this one. It's a long and tedious process. If we get fairly far in this process, then on Wednesday we'll actually be able to start seeing what happens when we try to jump through time. It'll break in all sorts of interesting ways, though. We may get all sorts of interesting things appearing and disappearing. Because ideally what I would like to see is I would just like to be able to kind of jump through time and watch the landscape grow. Although I don't have the VFX chops to actually let people watch it grow. I mean, if each tile of landscape had the exact same number of vertices, you could do, instead of having, you could do a vertex kind of morphing animation. But each does not have that. They've got a different number of vertices for reasons. So it would be hard to morph between them, but it'd be kind of fun. So we wouldn't watch the landscape grow, but we would watch the landscape jump as it was built up. Okay, so there's the Neolithic. That's the dirt. We gotta do the topsoil now. Nope, not the Roman. The topsoil tiles, there we go. And there's 20 of those as well. Okay, but they're all, again, labeled correctly, so that's a good thing. $79.99. That's its start date. Its end date. 2000, and they're all do not spawn objects. Good. I'll fold that back up. Start at tile 1. We'll go through that again. And of course, we all know that history ended, in 1946 when America became top nation? And that seems about right, from what I know of American history. If we can't have history, no one can have history, so we just burned it all down. So I was doing a little bit of philosophical thinking about this game and its view of the universe, which is a fun thing to do. And I realized that I've got a years before present way of describing dates, which is totally a normal thing to do when dealing with long time spans. It's just saying, you know, this is from however many years before present, rather than dealing with kind of dates AD or BC or CE and BCE. I realized that because this game is a bit of a time travel game, and the most recent time that, or the, what do I want to say? The latest time you can travel to is actually beyond the year 2020. Because I'm an optimist, I think there is something beyond 2020. I realized that I need not only a years before, but I also need a years after date. Because if you're in one period, you could be looking at an artifact that you have gathered from a period in the future, and the date of that artifact will be labeled by years after present date. It also keeps things nice and mysterious as far as what the actual kind of date framework of the game is, and I really do want to kind of be a little bit vague and confusing about that for narrative purposes. I mean, I know what it is. I actually do, but I'd like the player to kind of speculate. Because the date's important, the kind of starting date or the framing date for the narrative. So I have a code that changes all the dates on all the objects based on years before present, but I've got to go in there and adjust that code to also do a years after present, which is kind of a fun thing to do that you don't get in regular archaeology. Okay, all that topsoil there is done from the Neo landscape. I like the Neolithic landscape. I really like this kind of these two bits of the landscape that are missing. I don't know. It's a little pleasing. All right, now time to jump into the next period, which is going to be this. And there's our Iron Age roundhouses. There's our tarn. There's our well. There's our paleo channel. There's the ditch from the Neolithic round barrow. That's all in place. And then things are gonna start splitting after we get this one loaded in. In that not every one of these tiles is going to have the same number of entries, because the Roman fill dirt, for example, or the Iron Age fill dirt is only going to cover a few tiles rather than the whole space, and the Roman only a few tiles, etc., etc. And the topsoil is going to be different as well. So things are going to start getting different at this point. Well, after this point, after we just do this one last block of fill here. So that's a good thing. Element 0, we've got that going. Element 1, yeah, we should have 4 elements here. It's element 4 because we're computer coding and we're starting at a 0 index. So we're on to our 5th thing. So the period start date is going to be -1999. And the end date on this, okay, now we're getting up to when history actually begins. The end date, this is going to be the Roman landscape, and the Roman landscape ends in 305, as we all know. How far am I going to want to go on this? I'm going to want to go to controversial 500. So this is the Iron Age and the Roman period, all balled up into one. Okay, just to confirm, 1 to 20, yep, great. You know what, this is something that's going to save us some time already. I'm going to stick this down here. There we go. It only has taken me 80 times to figure this one out. That's why it took my PhD a little while to do. It takes me a long time to figure things out sometimes. Yeah, that's easier. I mean, really, when you're coming up with a date for the end of the Roman period in Britain, I mean, it never really ended. It's still ongoing. We still all live in rectangular houses. And the Romans invented rectangular houses in Britain. It's not like we went back after the Romans all left, right? We went back to our round houses and our mud huts. Well, maybe the mud huts part. Speaking of bizarre archaeology chronologies in video games, I've been playing through Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the last of the Tomb Raider reboot games. What did they, apart from, well, there was peace. So I've been playing through the Shadow of the Tomb Raider games, and this one's set in Central and South America. Actually, it's set in Peru, but Lara Croft is looking for Mayan ruins in Peru, which is odd, and they even sort of acknowledge that at one point in the game. She says, "Have you seen any Mayan ruins around here?" She's in the Peruvian jungle, and the person she's talking to says, Mayan? You're in Peru." Apparently there's a game reason for that, but I thought that was quite hilarious. She keeps finding Aztec and Mayan and Incan stuff all together, which is kind of fun. And apparently there's a reason for it, but it's a little bit bonkers. But it's a video game, and they can do what they like with their chronologies, and it's fine. Okay, so where's our topsoil now? So we did the base. Iron topsoil, here we go. That looks promising. Yeah, there it is. A little bit of mud and dirt left around the palisades here. I really should have left more mud and dirt, but kind of forgot. Okay. Gonna do the next bit. 1999 to 500. All do not spawns. Fold that one up. Back in we go. So what on earth is this 3-2? There's 3 and 3-2. I've got some duplicate game objects. That's interesting. How'd that happen? See, 4 and 4. I gotta go back and look at my original mesh now. Why I have a whole bunch of duplicate game objects now, I don't know. Oh, it split them. No, it didn't. That's bizarre. Okay. Let's get rid of that one because we do need a hole. Yeah, we do. If I get rid of 3, sorry, I'm just going to check what I've done here. Now I don't know which is the right one and which isn't the right one. Okay, certainly number 4, not 4-2 is the correct one in here. So we're going to assume that the ones that aren't -2s are the correct ones to work with. It's interesting. Let's go see what happens when I kill 5.2. Yep, that's correct. 6.2's got to go away. Yep. 7-2's got to go away as well. Yeah, that's better. I needed dirt around the farmstead. Let's see what happens to 14-2. Yeah, that's the dirt around the little Iron Age house up at the top. Okay. So these -2s are leftovers from the previous version of the topsoil that didn't have all of that marked out. I just need to get rid of them. Okay, down to number 5 here. Six, 7, this is going a little bit easier because I followed a consistent naming convention, and I also followed a consistent pattern of where these tiles are in space. I always figured that if I actually could time travel, I wouldn't want to, because the past seems like a horrifying place to live. I could make comments about people who never left their hometowns and always talk about the glorious homecoming football game of, 1972, and talk about how the past is a horrible place to live. But that's a little bit too close to home, probably. So maybe I'll not make that comment. But anyway, I always figured one period I would love to see, if I could actually travel back in time, would be the Iron Age. I would really love to just see pictures of it. So if I could have a camera that traveled back in time, I would totally want to see the Iron Age. It'd be pretty amazing. Ooh, you know what? We've got to change the date on these, because this is the Iron Age topsoil. The Iron Age doesn't go all the way to 500 AD. No, the Iron Age only goes to, as we know, Caesar gets there in 53 BC, so really our end date should be 53 BC. No, I'm going to leave my end date being that Roman site that we show doesn't really get going. Let's do 100. Okay. Yeah, the dirt below goes all the way to 500, but the topsoil does not. Okay, so there goes the topsoil. That's gone. And we'll get to put the Iron Age fill soil in, and at that point, you'll get to see what I mean about stuff starting to split out now. There are not, you will be happy to know, there are not 20 tiles of this kind of stuff here. But it does look like it's named itself. I did not follow a naming convention, so that's fantastic. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got to rename these guys, and I don't think I can do that because they're prefabs. So gotta hang on for a minute while I try to figure out which tile these belong to. As you can see, we don't have 20 tiles under here. We've got 14 tiles under here, so slightly fewer. So each section of this corresponds to a tile that's underneath, and I need to just load those into the appropriate tiles here, skipping some. So we're starting to get to the point where not all of these have the same number of past lives, essentially. Iron Age. You need to make sure you had Google Maps to find something worth looking at. Yeah, that's right. I know, I'd have to go have my Google Maps and I'd have to find out where all of my Brocks and my hill forts and all that kind of stuff was, but I'd really still love to see it. I really would. I'd love to see Maiden Castle all occupied, and I'd love to see some of those Brocks up in Scotland all occupied and smoke pouring out of their little thatched houses. And it'd be interesting to see if everybody was living in little cone-shaped houses or if they were living in something that looked different. I would just love to see it, but I wouldn't like to live there. Okay. I'm going to start turning off. I think I can turn off all 5 of these tiles in this row because they don't overlap. 6 doesn't overlap. That's good to know. 7 does. 8, 9, 10. 11 just does. 12, 13. 13 just does. So does 14, 15, 16 doesn't. And that's it. So those are the, pardon me, those are the 14 we have. And 7 equals 2 in this case. So I know that number 7, so let's see. 7 through 15 are overlapping tiles. I know this probably isn't making any sense. 7 through 15 are overlapping tiles, so they all get a new set of objects to them. And their date is 1999 to 100, that's correct. And then 17 through 20 get the same thing. 17 through 20 also get a new object in their array, and they have the same date. Great. Okay. But 16 can go away. And anything before 7. I'm just going to turn these off, and this is going to help me to stick to the correct ones. I know now that 7 is 2. Okay. So landscapes tile 7 is going to be tile number 2 here. There we go. And number 8 is probably going to be number 3. Yep. Going to be 3. 9 is going to be 4. 10 is going to be 5. Yep. And then 6 starts over here, and 6 is going to be... No, sorry. 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 is going to be number 1. 12 is going to be... I did terrible numbering on this. 12 is going to be 6. 13 is going to be 7. 14 is going to be 8. And 15 is going to be 9. And then we skip 16, and 17 is going to be 10. Oh, no, no, no. No, I'm wrong. Hmm. Fifteen is 10. 14 is 9. 13 is... Ooh, 8 and 9 are the same. Oh, what a silly person I am. Okay. So 14 really is 8. Wow. Okay. And 15 is going to be 10. 17 is going to be 11. Here we go. We're back on track. I had a duplicate in there too. 17 is 11. 18 is 12. 19 is 13. 20 is 14. Okay, so I've mapped all those on. So that's what I mean by things kind of splitting and becoming different, is that I'm starting to have different bits of fill dirt, which only occupy some tiles and not all 20 at once, which means that my tiles, my nulls here that are going to kind of control which one gets shown in which time period are going to start having, they're going to start being uneven in the number of items they have in their soil and other times list here. If that makes any sense. It's okay if it doesn't. So anyway, that's where we're going. I will finish off this tedium tomorrow and not stream this one right now anymore on Wednesday. And hopefully on Wednesday we'll get into actually just jumping around in time and seeing what falls apart and what works, because it'll be surprising either way. So actual time travel, okay, not actual, but time travel in game, hopefully is incoming on Wednesday morning. But it's 7:30 my time here, and I've got to go in and have some breakfast with the family. It's nice talking to you, Jeff, and have a great rest of your day, and maybe see you on Wednesday. All right. See you later, everybody.